So, happy Sabbath, everyone. I want to thank you for inviting me into your fellowship today. And I am Katia. I'm from the Whitestone Foundation Fellowship in Canada. And we're going to worship today. We are going to talk about a an oppression that is actually overlooked. And but before we get there, we are going to pray and take it from there. So bow with me so I can pray. Dear God in heaven, we are so thankful to be able to gather together in this Sabbath day. As we are looking, Lord, at what's going on in the Word and find the correlation with the prophetic message. I pray, Lord, that you open our understanding and that you give us the Holy Spirit and wisdom to see those issues for what they are. I pray, Lord, for all the people that are here today, that you may bless them and that the time that we have together will be a good time. I pray all these things in the name of Jesus and for your glory. Amen. So I am going to ask for participation. And also along the presentation, you can intervene. That's no problem with that. So sorry, I have to press OK. So today we are here in 2024, okay? And we know that the Sunday law is approaching. Can you tell me what is the text for the Sunday law? Anyone?
Equality, gender.
Okay, so we have as a test, we have gender equality. What else? I mean, that's the big test, I know, but when we talk about the Sunday law, what do you think of?
Rise of fascism and the fall of democracy.
Yeah, the fall. So there's the rise of fascism. Okay, so it is absolutely the fall of democracy. Okay, good. How did we come to this conclusion? How did we come to that conclusion?
Was it because of the 2014 studies on this?
Okay, so you are bringing us to 2014. 2014, that's yes, we have the understanding of the Sunday law, 2014. But in 2014, we don't know so much about gender equality. There's some issue going on, but we don't see it as a test as we understand it today for the Sunday law. So it's a little bit after 2014 that we come to that conclusion. When is that?
The election of Trump.
Election of Trump, right? The election of Trump come with what? I want you to think internally, because we see the things externally, but for us to understand something, a message has to come to us internally so we can look at something externally and understand with a prophetic eye. My question is, what allowed us to arrive to that conclusion that we had to look at the election of Trump? That
Midnight Cry?
The problem is gender equality.
Midnight Cry?
The Midnight Cry, yes. And what exactly in the Midnight Cry, what year is that?
2018?
2018. So here we are in 2018. And we have the Midnight Cry. And what is the message of the Midnight Cry?
So if you were linking 2016, the election of Trump externally, and you said we need to look internally at 2016, then that message would be Acts 27, which shows that the institution of America is shipwrecked at Sunday law. And that's because of the fall of democracy at Sunday law.
Yes. So what you've done is that you've taken a link, and we see that with the institution, there's a fall of democracy. And to be able to understand how they fall, you go back to 2016. Okay, so that's good. Now, regarding that's good for the fall of democracy. What about gender equality? When are we aware of that message of gender equality?
In 2019?
Yes, so it is in 2019. What do we learn? What is it that we get in 2019? Are we told right away at gender equality?
Women wearing pants, being in leadership.
Okay, think of the message. So that is, it's true, but it comes a little bit before. What I'm looking for is something that comes a little bit before that would lead to those issues, with women wearing issues, with women wearing pants, women in leadership position. What is the message that we receive? In 3 words.
Is it sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Is it the geographic model of the King of the North and King of the South?
So when you think of that, so here in 2019, we have the 2 stream of information. Okay, 2 stream. And out of the 2 stream of information, we also have the message of the King of the North and the King of the South. The King of the North and the King of the South allow us to see that the King of the North cannot be over the King of the South. The King of the South cannot be over the King of the North. That there should be a King of the South, King of the North, which gives us, that a notion of equality. But with that notion of equality, there was 3 particular subjects that came with them, and they came in 2019. What are they?
Sexism.
Yes.
Racism.
Yes.
And homophobia.
Stream information. Okay. So we have, let me just put in that, sexism. Actually, racism, sexism, homophobia. I didn't put it in the right order. And here we are told what? That those things, they are not supposed to be found where?
In Eden.
In Eden, yeah. But most generally. Maybe it's not clear. I'm just going to say, pretty much in the movement, this is what I was looking for. Pretty much in the movement, we are told that those things are not supposed. You can't be sexist, you can't be racist, you can't be homophobic. And from those notions, then the message continued to develop. And then we have this understanding that, yes, sexism and gender equality will become a test. But that doesn't diminish that, even though at Sunday law, gender equality is a test, doesn't give you the right to be racist or give you the right to be homophobic. Can someone give me an example of a subject of racism? Oh no, let's keep it with sexism. Can someone give me an example of a subject? If I'm telling you, okay, you told me gender equality is the test. Tell me what? Tell me some subjects that are part of that test. Nobody?
Are you looking for radical feminism? Trans-inclusive radical feminists?
That is what we're supposed to be. The trans-inclusive radical feminist. So I would say maybe the movement. I don't know where to put it. So let me put it here. I hope you can see. But the movement should be trans, inclusive, radical feminist. But you're looking at the news today, and you tell yourself, oh, this is part of sexism. This is part of the issue of gender equality. What are you reading today that points you to that issue of gender equality? Give me some example of issues that are part of the sexism of gender equality.
Abortion.
Abortion. Yeah. What else?
Would patriarchy or headship?
Okay, so headship. So yeah, we can put it. Patriarchy, headship. You read the news. So what are those news that you are reading? And what are the subjects that they are, that you are reading? What are the subjects?
Are you talking about like sexual abuse too?
Sexual
Women?
abuse, okay, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Anything that, I just want to see,
I'd say the hijab in Iran.
the hijab.
Yeah,
Okay, can I put,
dress. I
yes,
don't know.
I don't-
Attire.
what did you say, sorry?
Dress, women's dress, how they dress.
Okay, women
Regardless of
dress,
religious.
okay.
Yeah. And education in Afghanistan, places like that.
Mhm. Plus, can I put, I don't know if I put Islam, because I understand what you mean, but it's not only Islam that has that, but I'll leave it to women's dress, but I put education. Education is a good one. All right.
What
How about
about
anything that-
femicide?
Pardon me?
Go ahead.
I said femicide. What about femicide?
Femicide. Yes, there's a lot of women doing that. Femicide. Is it femicide or feminicide? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's
How about child marriages?
child marriages.
Dowry system.
I never know if there's two R or R. I'm always confused between the two languages. So bear with me if I put two R and it's only one R in English.
How about beauty
Okay.
standards?
Beauty standards. Okay, so let's put these. All right. In the beauty standards, can you give me some? Can you give me some example of beauty standards?
Hairstyle.
Hair, okay. I'm not sure that you will see anything in it. So we put hair.
Weight.
Weight,
Women
okay.
supposed to be
Anything else you
Cosmetic
think of?
surgeries? Cosmetic
Cosmetic.
surgeries.
Okay, so it's appearance. Can I put appearance? Oh, no.
Yes.
Cosmetics. Cosmetics. Surgery. And appearance. Okay, so how about fat phobia? Do you see it as an oppression, or is it the fault of the person who is fat that they are fat? what is your reaction when you see somebody who is fat? You don't have to answer. I know it's I'm asking, but don't feel obliged to answer, because this is where I want to go. This is what I want to talk about today, is the subject of fat phobia. And the reason why I want to look at that subject is because it is a subject that is overlooked, and it is part of our unconscious bias. And what I found is that there was a research that was done in 2019, and out of the 6 forms of implicit bias, so you have implicit bias, and the 6th form, and out of the 6 forms, so you have race, and you have skin tone, you have sexual orientation, you have age, disability, and you have anti-fat, weight or anti-fatness. And in 2019, so there's this research that is done by the Harvard University, and they found that out of those 6 implicit bias, the one that is getting worse is the one about fat phobia. So we are here in 2019, okay? And we learn about racism, sexism, homophobia. So we see the big picture, but there's also other issues going on. And one of them is fat phobia, because the world can see the sexism, in the big picture, the world can see the racism, but fat phobia is something that is not so common, that for people to look at. Which means that if it's something that is on the rise, and that is the case since 2007, out of all those implicit bias, this one is on the rise. If it's on the rise, then this is something that we should consider, even here in the movement, because we have unconscious bias. And if we think that we are exempt because we think that, oh yes, now I believe in gender equality, then we should consider. Something that is also important to see is that out of all the example that has been given on gender equality, they're usually those that we see the most. So if I have to do the scene, all of those, they pretty much here, that's an iceberg. Well, whatever. That's an iceberg, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. But what we need to know, there's a lot that we don't see, that we are unconscious, because they are more subtle. And so it's not something that you will see, like abortion. Abortion is very easy, to see, because it's reproduction rights. It's on the news. You can see women being abused. But something like that is less unsubtle, then it's kind of overlooked. And the same way that women should have the right for their reproductive rights to reprocreate or not reprocreate, they should have also the right to be, and we will And when I say that is that they should not be oppressed for their body. The body, it's something that is changing, especially in a woman, but that is overlooked, and we will understand why. But not only it is a form of oppression, it also intersects with racism, sexism, homophobia, and other like ageism, misogyny, and all of those. So, and the reason why I say that it intersect like intersection. So you will have here sexism, and here you may have racism, homophobia. Oops. And then you can have here fat phobia. Oops. The reason why it's intersect is because you don't have to be a man to be fat phobic. You can be a woman and be fat phobic as well. You know, you can be a woman and be racist, but you can be a woman that is racist and fat phobic. And you can be a woman that is homophobic and fat phobic, or even sexist. And same, you know, for men. All the things, you know, they intersect. And I'm going to try to do it well, but I hope you understand. So yes, women, and especially women of color, are the ones that are the most oppressed regarding fat phobia. And we will see. But it is also a big system of oppression in other area. So, Isabel, if you can just show the two books that I am going to use for my study. It's the first, yes, thank you. So that's the two, my reference that I've taken for this study. The first one is on shrinking, and this is by Kate Main. So I think many of us know Kate Main. She is the author of Down Girl and Entitled that has been referenced by Albert Hess. And a new book is actually on shrinking, how to face fat phobia. And she is also a philosopher, an Australian philosopher. She's a feminist, and she is a professor at the University of Cornell University. And then you have also Moya Bailey, which she is a African American feminist and writer, and she is the one that coined the term that is used now very widely, which is called misogynoir, which denotes this unique combination between misogyny and anti-Blackness. So my research, so to speak, are based on those two books. And this is what I am going to share with you. I am not going to, I'm going to paraphrase the main ideas, but I just wanted to let you know where I got my sources from. Thank you. You can remove it now. So one of the places that fat people are actually oppressed is in the healthcare system. And actually, there is a chance for fat people to be misdiagnosed. I hope I pronounced it properly. An example that is given, and that is in the book on shrinking, is that woman who lost weight. She lost over 60 pounds, but then she started to have cramps and to have pain, postmenopausal vaginal pain. So she goes to an OBGYN, but the OBGYN does not diagnose her correctly because she's fat. Actually, what he what he writes instead is that she's a fat, complaining older woman. And so I mean, the doctor sent her back home. However, the pain continues to grow, and it is so unbearable that she has to go see another doctor. That's a month after, and when she comes back, when she goes to that doctor decides to do some blood tests and to have a little bit more information. And the blood tests come back, and she received a call to go right away in the ER because they find a big mass, a huge mass in her abdomen, and she has actually a pelvis cancer, sorry. And what happened is that because it was taken too late, she died after 6 months. So that's just an example of how people can be misdiagnosed because what they see is just a fat woman. So in their mind is that, well, if you fat, it's just because you eat too much, like, control yourself. But what happened is that there is discrimination in the sense that the type of care that you are going to receive are not going to be the same as another person, because everything but the cause of your illnesses, let's say, is due to your fatness, and they would not look at something else. So I have also this question for us internally. You don't need to answer. You don't need to give me an answer. But have you ever looked at a person and say, this person must lack of willpower, or she probably doesn't eat healthy, neither that she follows the health reform. Okay, so she must be lying for the reason for being fat. She's completely out of control. Or have you ever tried to give the best diet to that person or to another person without understanding where they come from and all the underlying issues or health problems? Or what was your reaction when you what is your first reaction when you see a fat person? What are you, especially women, because we know that they are unfortunately, they are regulated by beauty standards. Are you going to say, oh, this woman is ugly? Or she's probably lazy or undisciplined? So just keep that in mind and ask yourself the question. And the reason why I say that is because it's been, there's been researches that have been done that show that fat people, they are not dying faster than thin people. Actually, it's been even proved that fat people, so with a BMI of 25 to 30, they have a lower risk of mortality than, milder obese people, for example, or thinner people. And it has also been shown that people who are mildly obese, which means that they have a BMI over 35, okay, yes, they have an increase of mortality, but so are people who are underweight. That means that have a BMI that is that is 18 and under. So fat doesn't mean that you are not healthy. Women has cycles, body change, and when we are too constrained to think that women should look this way, we are also disregarding other health issues. And you can ask also in your surroundings, how many women go to the doctor, for example? Are they going to wait? are they going to say, okay, no, I can't go to the doctor now because I know what I'm going to go. I know I'm going to have to step on the scale. It's going to be messy. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait, or I'm going to postpone. And they postpone so much that important health issue, that should have been diagnosed before, will be diagnosed too late. This time I have a question and somebody can answer me. What is, and I've already mentioned it, so what is the tool that is used by the healthcare providers today, or even common people, because everybody can go on the internet and use it to determine if someone is obese or know that you are in the right range? Yes, I've heard it already, is the BMI. And I don't know if you know a little bit about the history of the BMI, but before I go to that history, there is this man, which is a famous physiologist, Harvard physiologist, that says the following in 1961. His name is Ansel Keys. So I'm going to write it there. I hope you can see it. Tell me if you don't see. Hang on, this one. I leave it open. That's his name. Let me just close myself. So Ansel Keys. Okay. So let me just go on my notes here. So in 1961, he says the following in Time magazine. He says that obesity did not necessarily cause coronary heart disease. It was, however, ugly, not to mention disgusting and ethically repugnant. As he wrote in other publications, fat people are clumsy and our bodies are hard on furniture. So you can see how derogatory this is. And Ansel Keys is the one who created the body mass index, the BMI, in the 1980s. And he based his work on a Belgian astronomer. His name is Adolf Ketlet, who was interested in defining the ideal average man, and by divided their weight in kilograms. So Isabel, if you can show the second picture. This is where this is the three men. Yes, this one. Perfect. So this is, he wanted to see, what the average ideal man would look like. So he is Belge, so in French is le moyen. And so he took some average men and divided their weight with their height in meters. And he decided that people that are overweight are people that have a BMI of between 28 and 25. So, but when Ketlet did his research, he used only a certain type of people, which were only men, white men, and he used two how's it that? Yeah, two. I don't want to say two type, but two. Men. Forget about that. Men. Some of them were soldiers in Scotland, and some other were French, and they were in the gendarmerie. So I don't know the word in English, but it's like policemen, pretty much, gendarmerie. So he used that as a base to determine the BMI. Now, what's the problem with this? What's the problem with having just male and just white-centric male to determine the BMI? an open question.
No females.
No female, exactly. Not only no female, but also no people of color and Black women in particular. So already, if you are using the BMI, just know that this tool is also centered in Eurocentric, but it is also sexist and it's also racist. And the reason why I am saying that is because it has been shown that women of color, even Black men, but women of color, Black women, they have a bone density that is higher than the counterpart of Caucasian women. So when you see a Black woman, she might be 10 pounds bigger than a counterpart of white women. However, it doesn't mean if you use the BMI, she might be already in that category of obese. But it's not that she's obese, it's just that the density of the bones are different, but that is not taken in the BMI. Another reason, and you can show the next picture, is the Ottoman, not this one. Go up again. Yes, this one. Thank you. I'm going to try to say Hottentot. I don't know if you know the history of the Hottentot women. So we know that even before there were in Europe different types of women. There were already fat women or women, there was thin women, there were fat women. But what happened is that in the 1800s and a little bit before in the 1700s, you have the slave trade that is starting. And as people go into Africa to look at people, to study, different people, they go in South Africa and they find this tribe, which is the tribe of the Hottentots, called Hottentot. And what they find is that women over there are big, but they're not just bigger. They develop everywhere, is developed bigger. Okay, so and that there was this French naturalist. His name is Virey, Jean-Julien Joseph Virey, and in his natural history of the Negro race that was published in 1837, it says the following. It says that women, talking about these Hottentot, it says, Virey asserted that Negroes generally were of mild disposition, robust, but slow and very lazy. His treatment for their big bottom and bellies that push out, Virey theorized these women as often sedentary or pregnant, leading to an accumulation of fatty liquid in their stomachs, breasts, hips, and buttocks. The derriere, so the butt of Hottentot women resemble those of four-legged creatures at time, growing so large that they could be supported with a small cart like domesticated animals. And so the Hottentot woman name is, it's calling the name is Sarah, that you see on the picture on the left. That's the woman that they photograph, and she has been exported or imported to Europe for exposition. But they use that revulsion of differences to make many more caricatures. So of Black women, which is the one that you see on the right, and to give that revulsion of the fat body. All of a sudden, even though in those time on day and age, there were women that were fat, now fatness as a association, and it was associated distinctively with the Black trait of fat body of Black women. And so that is long time ago, okay? That's in the 1800s, right? However, what is going on is that the same disgust, it's still going on today. So, and women are still, Black women, because they don't fit those characteristics of those Eurocentric BMI characteristic, they are always being not scolded, but derogated. So I want you to take the time, Isabel, if you can show the next picture of Serena Williams and this page of Serena Williams on the left, and the other lady, I'm going to try to remember her name, as Caroline Wozinski, and I put a few pictures of them together for a reason, because when you think of sports, for example, in that particular example, people, women's body, especially in sports, are showing. Okay, so there is scrutiny, and often the body of a Black woman in sports will be scrutinized stronger than the body of a white woman. And so that's what happened, for example, for someone like Serena Williams, who has received a lot of degraded comments, racist comments, that she was not supposed to be part of the tennis player, although she is the greatest athlete of all time in tennis. Yet, because of a body, she has been derogated. And I want you to pause 1 minute and think of your unconscious bias as you look at the picture right now. What do you have in your mind? Don't need to answer, but what do you see? In your mind, do you see, or do you perceive that women being too muscular, too fat, maybe even too manly, because muscles shows more? Or do you think that she's the ideal model for sports like tennis? Just think of that, as soon as you see the picture. And I put the picture of Caroline. It's because Caroline, she has imitated Serena Williams in a racist display. As you can see, it was an exhibition match. And what she did is that she stuffed a bra and a skirt with tennis ball. Okay, so that it resembled the visual, the physique, aspect of the authentic women that we saw before, and that's how Black women are viewed. So Isabel, same, I don't want you to give me an answer. I just want you to think of, do you think that she's fat? I mean, there's another picture where you see both of them in bathing suit, and you can see that the body is different, but she has no cellulite. She is just different. But according to the standards of today, she is a fat, and she's going to be derogated for that. So there's a lot of racism, even even in the tools that we use today to measure women, which we shouldn't, obviously. So another picture, Isabel, just scroll down. Yes, those gymnasts. Yes. Thank you. Just look at them. So you have Simone Biles, and you have another gymnast on the side. What do you think? Don't answer. Same, I just put another one. This one is another athlete. Can't remember the name in the top of my head. In the ice skate, Surya Bonali, and another gymnast. You see the difference. But those ladies are going to be derogated. And not even that is that for their bodies, but even though they are great women athletes, their performance, will be brought, into scrutiny. This is why I put the picture of the last one, because I'm sure that we have heard of this woman who, I think she has been, and she's still fighting to go back into the field, because she's a runner, and she has a lot more testosterone than other women, and because of that, she has been removed from the field. And behind her, you can see the white women, which is much thinner, but doesn't mean that she's no better. They can be both the same, but because of the body shape, this is going to be the derogatory. I hope I am saying, yeah, I'm saying it right. So you can close for a little moment, Isabel. So we see those. You've seen those groups, and the reason why also it goes with racism is because, of course, the BMI is not made for everybody. It's not made for women, particularly women. It's not made for people of color, particularly Black women. We automatically will go into the obese category when they are not. But there's another thing that is going on, and it's that of classism. So I don't know if you heard about classism, but it's the fact that now white women, so here that's why this intersection, white women, because they are thinner, they also have a way to differentiate themselves. They have they can say, okay, white women, which is, I mean, this is the fact, that white women are thinner than Black women, but now it becomes also a status. If you look at great celebrities, you think of great celebrities or of great wealthy people, you will see that they're usually white women and they are thinner. So there's this gap, that is broadened, that's broadening itself in between white women and also Black women, especially if they're fat. But not only that's one thing. The second thing that's going on is that you have to have the means today to be able to stay fit. So everything that you see around you will cost money, which is another way, to allow the gap, because you need to have the latest Peloton, for example. That thing is not cheap, whether you take the epileptic or the bike or whatever you choose. That it is expensive. You need to have the best vitamins in the market, and those are expensive too. You need to have the best protein powder, and even the best vegan protein powder, if we want to stay there. They are not cheap. And then you have to eat organic. That there's a category a lot of people can't afford. Okay, and then you can see this gap going over and over again. I want to show you a picture, another picture of how this how it is. Isabel, if you can go back to it, please. Back to the PDF. Yes. Not angels, the one underneath. Yeah, where you see the two ladies with the Black woman. Yes. This one. Yes. What do you see? So I think sometimes that's why I'm saying that sometimes it's very unconscious. But I think that these pictures speak for itself. You have two white women that is elegantly dressed, and you have this Black woman is twice their size. Because if you look at where a position, she can be twice their size. I mean, those two ladies, that Black woman is probably twice that size. But there is this distinction, that is over and over brought to our attention, is that fat goes with Blackness, white, goes with thinness in that particular example that I wanted to show you. And there's other example where fat women are derogated, and I put a picture if you want to show it. Isabel is the one just on top, not on top of, yeah, it was this one that has been changed so far, but and Jemina, that was a not maple syrup, corn syrup, breakfast syrup. But what they want to show is that a Black woman should be fat, with her headscarf, and not attractive, if I can say it this way. So remember, I ask you why people are fat. You can remove it, Isabel. Thank you. So I'm asking you, and it's an open question right now. In your opinion, why do you think that people are fat?
Metabolism, genetic.
Okay. So we have metabolism. Genetics. What else?
Can be hormonal.
I think it's health for a woman to be, fat as she ages because of the estrogen, storage around the belly. Gives her strength and stability, hormonal.
Yeah, hormone. Yes, absolutely, and we will see that.
Like a protection.
Yes, especially for older women, after menopause, all this fat helps to help to live. Excuse me, I think I somebody was talking and I just I'm sorry. I think I interrupt.
Like Katia, I was just saying that that can be a protection against attack, abuse.
Can you speak a little bit louder? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me better?
A little bit louder.
So I was saying that it can be a protection against attack or abuse. Yes,
that yeah, absolutely. It can be a protection, and that is this is what happens, often is that women, they go through trauma. For example, there's a feminist, her name is Roxanne Gay. She was thin, but at 12 years old, she was getting raped by 12 men at 12 years old. And she built this carapace of, by food, she built this carapace around her. And now she, because, that was a way to protect herself. Yes. So there are many people, yes?
There are two comments in the chat. Psychological instability and comfort food.
Okay, so I can put mental health?
Yeah. Yeah, that's stress and mental health issues.
Perfect, correct.
Health. Stress. And there was another one, sorry, I've missed.
Comfort food.
Oh yeah, comfort food.
Yeah. Just stating cause and effect. That was, I just put comfort food next.
Oh, okay, thanks. Low socioeconomic status.
Yeah. Oops, there's no economic. Thank you so much. I think you brought them in, most of them, which is good. So that proves what? That it's not just women, particularly I'm talking about women because women and girls, because they are the ones that are the most targeted. Sorry. They are the ones who are the most targeted. But there are multiple reasons why people are fat. So it's hard, to always imagine that people, will be thin and will stay, in a BMI, in a reasonable BMI all along the way. And that's actually the reason why the body fluctuates, and that we have all these hormonal changes. So somebody said hormonal. Yes, hormonal. Where is it? Here. Can you put the picture? Yes. Sorry. Somebody was talking. Yes, this one. Because what happened is that it's harder for especially a woman to stay on the same I'm not going to say diet, but to always eat the same way all the time. And that is due, because of the hormonal cycle. Because usually somebody talk about estrogen, women from a certain day to another one, I think it's the 1 to day 10, they will start, building estrogen. And estrogen is what keeps the glucose down, and is where you probably the less hungry. But then you will have your ovulation, and so estrogen, they are at the peak, and then you have the testosterone, that come into play, as well as the progesterone, and usually during the ovulation period, and then it goes down, and you are during that ovulation period, the week usually before your ovulation period, you are hungry. You are more hungry because you feel more hungry, because your body needs glucose. You are going to menstruate, so you need more glucose. But because we have these restriction, that we have to put our body to subjection, and so sometimes we are going to miss the alerts that says, hey, I need more food. I mean, give me more food, or at least give me something, to help me, with the glucose level. And we are going to ignore those signals. But when we ignore those signals, it's no benefit, to the body, because you need it. You sometimes we don't understand, like, oh, I just ate 2 hours ago, I'm still hungry. Well, we need to understand our cycle to see, oh, maybe I am in the place now where my body needs more progesterone. Okay, mommy. Sorry, I have my son right there. When we have more we need more. Sorry, when the progesterone goes up, so we crave more carbs, or we crave more sweets. And sometimes we will forget about those fluctuations. This is why, when you have things like BMI coming into place, or if you have, sorry, okay, sorry, have my son that is right there. Okay, just give me 1 second to do. Just stay here for now, okay? Please, thank you. I don't know what I was saying anymore, but pretty much, when you have more progesterone, you have those cravings that's coming up, and what happens is that if we stay, for example, with the same type of diet, in being more not understanding our body and how the body works, then that can be detrimental, for women. And this is one also of the reason why the how is it called, the diet culture, or all those diets, they don't usually work all the time. It's because our body fluctuates and our needs fluctuate, but it's often not taken into consideration, especially in the diet culture. Okay, you can remove this. Thank you. I'm just going to turn a little bit. Okay. All right. Do you have any question or any comments for what we have seen so far? No? Okay. So if not, there's only another part that I would like to talk about, and it is the fatness, how fatness has an impact on economically for women. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because there is discrimination here as well regarding intellect. So if you look at people in the workplace, before I say that, if there's this misconception pretty much that fat women lack of willpower. Can you just give me 1 second, please? Just give me 1 second. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I had to bring your mark to another room. So sorry about that. So there's this misconception that because people are fat, they lack, and so supposedly the lack of willpower, they cannot be in a higher position or gain more, having a greater salary than other women. And I just want to look at the chart that is on the slide. Isabel, I think it's the last one. Yes, this one. Can you read it for me, please? Just
the conclusion that all educated workers in particular are penalized for their weight holds for both sexes, like in chart 1. Moreover, the higher your level of education, the greater the penalty. We found that obese men with a bachelor's degree earn 5% less than their thinner colleagues, while those with graduate degrees earn 14% less. Obese women, it is true, still have it worse. For them, the equivalent figures are 12% and 19%. Obese workers in healthcare, for example, make 11% less in their similar colleagues. Those in management roles make roughly 9% less on average.
Thank you. So there is this intellectual bias pretty much against fat people that we can see in the employment. And now there are only so far there are only 2 states in the United States that protect fat people against discrimination. And those 2 states are Michigan and Washington. In all the other states, there is no protection against discrimination. Thank you, Isabel. You can remove it. Okay. So there are other areas also of discrimination. We can see it in children, in travel. There's a lot of objectification of women as well, for them, to look a certain way, and that men are also entitled to have a fit woman, so to speak. Although fit is not really the right term that should be used. But my question now is how, and that would be also as a conclusion, is how do we go against that? How do we go against, that phenomena, that fat phobia phenomena? If you can give me anything from what you've retained from this lesson, from this presentation.
Identify and remove our own biases.
Yes, we have to recognize the biases. Okay, identify those biases, and yes, remove them. That's one. What else?
Search for more information that we can become more educated on the subject.
Yes, education is key. I think that when we talk about things like this, even when we say beauty standards, I think if you were to take each one of them and really do more research, we will be very surprised of how much information we can get, how much we can be educated on the subject, so we can work on our own biases. And it talks, it's really a step. It's identify, recognize, and educate. I was personally very shocked when I've learned about the BMI, for example. I've never thought that it was something, and I don't know why, something that was Eurocentric, that was removing, women and also people of color. But if I had to do if I wanted to know my ideal weight, this is where I would have gone first. So education, it's indeed, very important. Anything else?
I have a thought.
Yes.
When you look at, to me, it's like looking at all the various forms of, if you don't mind me saying this, the different forms of or steps of feminism that we've had, waves of feminism, go across the time. And the bottom line really is, yes, I'm not against people educating themselves. I'm not against people, doing a whole lot of things to do that. But the bottom line is, and this is what I come back to, and I'm a skinny guy. I'm a guy who's always thought he was too skinny, and got picked on because I was too skinny. So, but that's a different story. But here's the point. The bottom line is that if God doesn't have a gender, and if the angels don't have a gender, then whatever the spectrum is of gender or people's body shape or type, no matter what it is, their color, their age, no matter what it is, as the scripture tells us, it's just the house we live in. And it's not the person who lives inside. And to me, the reality is we have to learn, when we see one another, that we recognize each other for our characters, for the human beings that live inside the house, because none of us, when we were born, had a menu and we could decide what size and shape and color or anything that we were going to be. And that's not even looking at all the problems that people have when they're growing up, and the severe psychological damage that happens, or when people are abused, and all these other factors come into play. There's so many factors involved here. And I appreciate you being able to, open up that whole arena and look at it, because it just helps us to realize if we really want to treat each other completely without gender bias in any way, we have to be looking past the outward and looking at the inner person. That's my conclusion anyway.
Thank you. I think it's very important. I really appreciate what you said. I remember when the Parliament was in the United States, he made that comment. You know, how do you? I can't remember exactly word by word, but what's your reaction? You know, if you see a bunch of women with short hair, and you know, there's something's going on. But I think it's the same thing. What is your reaction if you are in a meeting? So in a movement, in a meeting in the movement, and you see a lot of fat women, what will be your reaction? Are you going to treat these women the same way that you would treat another woman? Would you think that this woman is able to teach, or would you, if that fat woman is teaching, would you think that what she's saying as a way that should be taken in consideration, that is serious? Do you see that person as serious? So yes, there's a lot of things that we have to work on, and as we said, you know, that we have to recognize, and it's hard, I would say, to be the same way that we cannot be colorblind. You see me, I'm Black. You can't say I don't see that you're Black. You know what I mean? So, but there's a way, you know, that you will treat me. Do you treat me different because you will say, okay, I'm superior to her because I'm white, you know, or oh, she's fat, so she's Black and she's fat, you know. How would you how would you react, and how do you approach me, you know, knowing these things? Or if you see me, would I be left alone, you know, in a corner, and nobody would talk to me because I don't have those criteria? Or would you just go and look for people, you know, that look more like you, or looks, you know, more serious than me because I don't have the shape, or I don't have the size, you know, that you would expect for someone that is, let's say, a health reformer, you know? So I think it's really important that we come in, like we think of these things, and also for women, because that's how I see, that's the vision that people have to a fat woman, to me. But as a woman as well, I should know that I have no moral expectation to be thin, that it's normal that my body changes, and also that I should resist somewhere, somehow, to become thinner, because that's also the societal expectation. Already women, in general, we don't want them to take too much space, sorry. They have to remain quiet. You know, that's, you know, the big sphere of influence is not for them. But add on to that the fact that I am not shaped like you. Am I supposed to do everything in my power to become thin so I can have the attention of society, of people? I think we also have to realize that it's okay. Of course, you know, everything, everybody is different. There is a health issue that needs to be taken into consideration. But if you are good and you are healthy, because health is not only a question of food, and you have no big problems, so to speak, then we have to resist that pressure. Oops, sorry. I hope you can hear me. We have to resist that pressure to look thin at all costs.
There's also been pressure for Black women to have straight hair, and that has led to some really bad health circumstances because they use these chemicals to straighten their hair, and now they're finding they're coming down with cancers of the uterus and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I heard something about an Asian culture, and it might be other, you know, it might be Black culture too, And in fact, I know it's Black culture too. There's this prejudice against darker skin in the Black culture, and even in the Asian culture, I've seen instances where women have used, products to lighten their skin. So it's really, I mean, it's in.
Yeah, and this has come from about the different, shade of color. I don't know if you saw my son. You saw my son is lighter than me. So I'm from the Caribbean. I mean, I was born and raised in France, but my parents are from the French Caribbean. And something that happened, with slavery is that depending of your skin color, your skin tone, you were assigned to certain tasks. So the darker your skin was, the ugliest the job that you have to do would be. And the lighter your skin was, the better job as a slave you will be. So the darker your skin, you will be doing genital work. The lighter you will be in the house. Okay, so imagine that is at the time of the slavery, but here we are, and hundreds of years later, and still there, where you can be you can be judged, by the color of your skin, and even in some position, even though a darker person may have more skills than a lighter person, then this lighter person will be chosen instead of the darker person. Yeah.
Katia?
Yes?
Happy Sabbath, good morning. I didn't know your background was from the Caribbean. Myself, Troy, I'm a Jamaican descent. And, it brought back memories when you were talking about your background. Lighter skin, they get ahead. And I've experienced the same, witnessed the same. Looking back now, I see it even more clearer. Not today, looking back, but, since Midnight Cry. And I'm like, wow, it's not only America. Well, we know that. But I'm just saying, you would think that coming from Jamaica, where there is Black people, majority, because you do have other races that live there, but it's a Black descent country. I'm going to put it in that term. You still see these prejudice. Those who are lighter skin, they get ahead. They get the education. They work in the banks. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And in America, we had our first Black president, but he wasn't particularly dark-skinned, and yeah, and then you see that.
But it's still Black. Then there is the difference between being Black in a Black country or a Black island, and being Black, in a more diverse country or more white-centric country, Eurocentric country. So even a light person in a white-centric country will look Black, will be seen as Black. Then the same light person in the Caribbean or a Black country like Africa continent, there will be those shades, of differentiation between them.
A couple of the thinner people in our group posted things about how we're treated as thin people, and it took me back. I mean, while you were talking, even I was thinking what it was like growing up as a very thin girl. You get compared to a 2x4 or a guy, and you're just, everybody, you're overlooked, or you're picked on a lot because people figure you can't fight for yourself. But yeah.
Yeah, if you don't fit the criteria, whether you are too thin or too big, you'll be teased, unfortunately. So yeah, Any other questions? Any comments, questions?
Well, I think what I got from this presentation is that for me, as one person that is part of this movement, I have to think about it, not only forms, but spirit, not only reasoning, knowledge, education, but experience this. I have to tell myself, today, I need to look at Alicia, Penny, or, I can say Isabel, whoever is in front of me as a person, know the person, not beyond the appearances. I need to go and search for the person, because sometimes the other person that is in front of me hides behind all these biases that we have, and we tend to judge very quick at some person because, they don't follow the health message, they fall short, then they don't know anything about the Bible, they're not educated. How come they're so fat? How come they behave in this way? Because they didn't do the right work at home. So we judge people in a way that we are becoming hypocrites, like the Pharisees or the publicans, everybody that don't go and dig into the body and search for the person, it's gonna judge the person as you see it, even the accent of the person, even the look, the face expressions. He's sad. He's happy. Has a lot of kids. Wow, how come he didn't think about that? Many things. The thing is that we need to, this is a task to don't stop at the forms, or at the reasoning or the knowledge, but experience that today with my personal experience with everybody. And thank you for the message, because it was an eye-opener for me. Thank you, Katia.
Praise God. I think it was, as I say, it's something that is overlooked. Even in the left wing, it's very overlooked. I found very little articles, talking about that issue. But as we grow, we know how is the process, right? What we learn. Oops. Sorry. Okay. So we are supposed to learn. We are always growing in knowledge. The knowledge that Ellen White has here. Remember that chart that I think it was Elder Parmenter, that Ellen White has here. This is Ellen White. Was very little. Then Paul has a little bit more knowledge. It was not there, but no, that was Paul first, though. Okay, let me rephrase. So that was Paul. Then you have Ellen White that had a little bit more knowledge. Okay, and then there is us. Very, very simplistically. Okay, and here is heaven. We are here, to continue and to progress in our understanding. There is no way that we can say we understand everything about sexism. There's no way we can say today we understand everything about equality, because there are some subjects, that are very easy to see. We saw it there, but there are all the subjects, like you don't even think of them. And this one was very important for me as well, because as you mentioned, we have this health reform. Okay, we are health reformer, but so we are health reformer, and sometimes we can ask things to God that are unrealistic. So I don't know if that happened. Like, I know it happened to me. I was like, oh my goodness, like, I am craving sugar. Lord, remove that sin from me. Like, I'm craving sugar. But and now, I'm thinking, like, no, that's normal that you crave sugar. Like, why do I need to think that it is a sin? Like, why do I place myself in that situation where I'm gonna have cramps? I am not feeling well, just because it says, subject your body. Don't eat between me, when my body is asking a little bit more, during that time period before ovulation, that time period before. There's a reason for that. And I'm not saying don't respect the health reform. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that I also have to listen to my body, and it's not black and white as it is written. There's a little bit of things, that we need to take into consideration, and fluctuation of the body, the cycle, menstrual cycle is one of them. Yeah, I think there was a question in the chat. I hope you hear me still.
That if you can send us a picture of the board, if you can send it to me, and I'll send it to the group. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you.
In that time period.
Yes, go ahead, Linda. Sorry.
Just one last thing. The time period you're talking about, when you're craving all those carbs and stuff, and you're just not feeling good, and I can remember going through that for years. They called it PMS. I didn't ignore the need for carbs. I really didn't even think about it. I would just grab popcorn, or I'd eat a lot of potatoes or something like that. It just went with the flow. And cramping and all that stuff, no, that wasn't a part of my experience. But imagine that time period permanently. That's what happens later. When your estrogen levels drop permanently, progesterone too, and you are totally out on a limb. That's something nobody talks about. But all that suffering that the women go through every month, it's totally magnified by many times when that menopause hits and all your hormones dive. And what goes along with that a lot of times is weight gain. Because that estrogen is protecting you against the amount of weight gain you might suffer from. So that's why when you see much older women and they are carrying around quite a bit of weight around their waists and stuff, that's what's going on. And society looks at them too and says, wow, they messed up. But they can't control it, unless they get on a medication called hormone replacement therapy. They can't control any of it. And that's something women know nothing about these days. So I'm just giving you a FYI. It's coming down the road. Yeah, so everything you talked about that younger women deal with on a cyclical basis, it comes crashing permanently later.
Thank you.
Something to research. Something to do.
Yes, I'm already in my perimenopause. So
okay,
I can see.
It's about to hit you in the face.
Yes, and that's the issue, Linda, also with diet culture today, is that how many things that you see and you hear today that says, fight the belly fat. About, your menopausal fat. This is what you see on YouTube everywhere. Everybody is fighting for that fat to be removed, they okay can be regulated, I guess, somewhere somehow, but it's there for a reason. And everything the diet culture says, no way, a woman is not fat, and if she's even normal, but the fat is coming up, do everything in your possession to have it gone. And that's a big issue. That's a big issue. So,
yeah, and everybody's talking about it now. They see advertisements all over the place about what to do about it.
Yeah.
But it's
a new disease.
A lot of it's misinformation, though. But yeah, I just thought I'd.
Yeah. So what can we do about the world? That's a big question. But really, I wanted to bring that study to us as a movement, as people who are growing and trying to better understand one another, to understand anything. I mean, anything, regarding the test of the Sunday law, to understand, the test, okay, it's sexism, it's gender equality, it's the fall of democracy, but we didn't even talk about the core value of democracy. It's because in talking about those, you have the human rights, yet human rights, even at that level, is not followed. People are oppressed because of their fatness, and that's something to consider. There's really a correlation in between both, and so that's my prayer, and that's also I hope your prayer that we continue to grow in understanding and in learning, in educating ourselves in the many subjects that comprises gender equality, democracy, sexism, homophobia, racism, because we can see that there's also intersectionality in between them, and that we are open to change. And I think that's how I would like to title this presentation, is that are we as a movement, are we are we fat phobic? Like, have we taken the time to think of that? Because beauty standards are there to define what is a hot girl or a hot woman. We don't fit the criteria. What are we? We are nothing. We are going to then suffer medically because we are going to be misdiagnosed. We are going to suffer economically because women are paid less because of their body size. We are going probably to pay more in travel because we taking more space. We are not probably not even being taken into consideration what we are talking about, because there is this thought that yes, she's fat, she has no willpower, so how can she be intelligent? Because intelligence has so much of the intellect, yet she's completely lacking or failing in terms of a body. Many things to have into our mind, and make sure that those things are not coming into the movement, because there's so much we can't do anything about the world, but it's us here that we have to look at and make sure that we are in line with what we believe. Any other question before we close? We can continue to chat after, otherwise. So much iceberg below the surface that we have not discovered yet about our message. That's true. That's true. I had someone told me, "Oh, we always talk about equality. What else do we have to learn about equality?" I can tell you, those fat people are not treated equally. There's so much to learn. There's so much to be educated on about it, and I think we have to continue to be in the path, to see the big pictures, because they are important, because they are going to be part of the big test, but also the small picture. So that's also my my prayer, that all of us, we continue to educate ourselves and to search, our hearts in how we treat one another, and because that's the sixth, you know, for the sixth, that's the treat your neighbor as you would like to be treated. So yeah, because we can't bring all these things and all these biases in heaven.
Thank you,
All right.
Katia.
Yes, thank you. Happy Sabbath.
Thank you, Katia.
So we are going to have a last prayer. Is that okay if I ask someone to pray? I talk so much. I'd like someone to pray. Sure. Thank you so much. So let's bow and pray.
Dear God, thank you so much for showing us the extent of your mercy and your wisdom and the loving care for us. Help each of us to determine in our hearts to be conscious of all the biases that are jumping in our heads all the time, that we can recognize them, call them by name, and decide using all the tools that you've given us in our power in the brain to make decisions that lead us to heaven. Bless us as we depart from each other. In the name of Jesus, amen.